Hope everyone is doing okay. Just hang in there. We have a few more weeks to go, and it'll soon be Christmas. Yeah, just a reminder to sign in. We will be giving out the free food scholarships sometime next week after looking at all the sign-ins for this semester. So please do sign in. Okay, if one of the officers can put the link in the chat, that would help. I'm gonna move on in case there are people who haven't signed in. Okay, so just a reminder on what our mission is. Our goal is to create an equitable environment within all genders at the McKenna department. And we hope all of you, especially the freshmen who joined in, have found a good community within UCHU and have received the support that we intend to give. Also, please stay involved with UCHU. Here's all our social media. Please make sure to join our Slack because that's our main method of communication. And please stay in touch. You can email us whenever or message us on Slack if you have anything, or Instagram. We will get in touch with you. All right, so we have a busy GM. Today we have a guest speaker, Jordan. Shruti will introduce her in the next slide. We have a few updates. We have new officers for spring 2021. We're very excited for these new officers to join our team. We have a little bit of, we have a few slides on some safety education that Kayla and I attended, a training that we attended that we need to update you guys on. And then we will have a little bit of a fun social playing Scribble.io. All right, Shruti.
Yeah, so we're really excited to have our guest speaker, Jordan Rosinski, here with us. She's a UT alum, and I guess I'll let you introduce yourself, Jordan, if you want to share your screen.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Uh-oh, it's telling me host is disabled participant screen sharing. So maybe.
You should be able to now. I just fixed it.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
That has happened before. You don't want me to be able to share everything. Okay, can you guys see it?
Yes.
I'm gonna make this bigger so I can see all of y'all's faces. So my screen is up above, so that's, if I'm looking up there, that's why. Okay, there we go. So yes, I have a slide about myself actually, just to introduce myself. So my name is Jordan Rosinski. I'm just gonna go over with you guys sort of my work history and my career path. I graduated, well, I'll get to that, but I have about 12 years of work experience. So I'm happy to be sharing it with you guys. And, you know, if there's any questions at the end, feel free, or during, this is very informal. So I'm 34 years old, so I've been out of college for a little while. I'm married. This is my husband, Ricky, in the picture with me. We actually just bought a house and moved in last weekend, so I'm in my new home. This is my dog, Nara, so she's my baby for now. And I have a pretty big family, so I come from 5 brothers and sisters, and so kind of have a crazy family life. Of course, hobbies, got to have Longhorn football, you know, hoping we continue to get better. Travel is one of my other hobbies, and hiking and biking as well while we travel. So you'll see through this, there's a little bit of a theme with travel going on with my life. So definitely one of my passions that my husband and I share. And gardening is another one. So I picked this one up, and this is me with my carrots from last weekend for Thanksgiving. So I was a little bit successful this year, giving it a shot. I attended UT in 2004 to 2008, got my chemistry degree. In addition, or kind of through that time while I was doing my studies, I also studied abroad in New Zealand. So that's definitely something once it's safe for folks to travel, something to consider. It was a great opportunity. I did that in the spring semester, and you do have to do some planning because a lot of universities, international universities, don't have credits that can transfer for engineering, but a lot of them have the electives. So I did a math elective, I did a chemistry elective, I think, and some sort of social studies type of class over there. I also did an undergraduate research, and another good experience and opportunity if you're interested in research and sort of getting your master's or PhD route. It was very helpful to get that experience and sort of see what they, what they're doing with their research on a day-to-day basis. And I did an internship at LyondellBasell. That wasn't my first job. I had sort of restaurant jobs and clothing store jobs through college, but LyondellBasell was my first sort of engineering internship, and I only did it that one summer right before I graduated, and I regret that, or I regretted it for a while, because when I started work, I definitely felt at a disadvantage to my peers that had done multiple internships or a co-op. So I also highly recommend, that you consider that, doing as many internships as you can, because that experience really is helpful. Just kind of getting into the work environment. It doesn't seem like a few months would do a lot, but it really does kind of help you get started when you show up for your full-time position. And then I graduated in December of 2008 because I did my study abroad, and I just couldn't get the classes to line out. So I ended up taking 4.5 years. So I have been out of college for 12 years now, which is amazing. Time does really fly. And while I was in college, I also was involved in AICI and SWE, and an organization, which I don't know if it still exists. It was called Cooking Works. So it was a pretty fun one. So in addition to, your kind of more technical geared ones, it's good to branch out as well and figure out what things interest you and get some hobbies. And there's organizations for everything. Okay, go on to my first position. So out of college, I graduated in December, and I started on January 19th of 2009. So pretty much right away out of school, I was ready to get to work. I started with ExxonMobil, and you'll see I have ended up working with them for about 10 years. My first position was instrumentation and controls engineer. So if any of you guys have taken the process control class, it's a lot of that. It was definitely a lot of learning for me because, in Chemie, we get one process control class and that's it. So this was sort of like jumping in full time. I had to learn a lot on the job and had to rely a lot on a mentor to help me understand the terminology and the equipment. But a lot of this position was small projects. So one of the projects was a fire and gas system upgrade. So you have fire and gas monitors in a plant environment. And so we needed to upgrade the sensors to something that was more reliable. I also was part of a pilot program. My second year, I led this program actually for a whole year myself across the US. And so we were testing a new valve, or we were qualifying a new valve test methodology. And that was a really great program because I got to travel to multiple locations in the US and kind of see the different operations. So the main facility I worked at is a natural gas treating facility in Wyoming and Colorado, but some of the other US locations were oil, offshore. So I got a good variety of experiences working in that one. And then I moved from that position to a facilities engineering role. So this is sort of your quintessential chemical engineering process engineer type role. I was fully supporting our Wyoming natural gas treating facility. I was actually based in Houston. All of my positions, I was based in Houston. So I had to travel quite a bit. I traveled, every other week or so for 6 years of my life. So, it was nice. It's nice to get out and see other places. But so at this treating facility, we had broken the plant up in certain units of operation. So there were multiple engineers that supported the facility. So I was assigned these first 4 units here, the inlet area, H2S removal, CO2 removal, and acid gas injection. So, you know, a lot of that job was unit surveillance, working with operations on monitoring how the unit's operating, trying to optimize and be more efficient. A lot of small projects to improve safety or operability or efficiency, and shutdown planning, which, and in this type of industrial environment, shutdowns are a very big deal, because whenever you shut down, that's when analysis. So these buildings, this is my plant. You can see this picture. So these buildings here, we're doing an analysis to evaluate how much pressure they could withstand. Of course, you hope, you know, you're never in that situation of having a blast, but, you know, if it did happen, you need to make sure that people are protected when they're inside the buildings. There was an incident in Texas City in 2005 that proved that our blast study in the industry needed to be improved. So I got to work on that study. So it was very interesting to see what type of changes you do to buildings to make them more blast proof. And another interesting project I worked on was a solids project, where in our treating facility, we were having solids form and foul up equipment. So heat exchangers could no longer, you know, transfer heat, and valves were being plugged and piping was being plugged, and we knew what the solids were, but we actually could not. It took us a long time to figure out where they were coming from and why they were being formed, years to actually figure that out. So then once we did, then we started putting in projects to be able to prevent it. So a lot of unique opportunities. This is a picture of me out at the well site for our acid gas injection. So at this unit, this is where the H2S and the CO2 we removed from the natural gas. We then re-inject it into a reservoir because it's not a usable product. And so this was at one of those well sites, and the well work team was doing what they call a workover, which is sort of maintenance on the well. So that was pretty neat. So this was my first 4 years of work, and about that time, my husband and I were, you know, looking. We had been traveling quite a bit, but we tried to go to 1 or 2 countries every year on vacation. But you know, we'd been meeting a lot of people who had taken time away from work, and so we were actually kind of interested to do something like that. So in 2013, we took a leave of absence for 10 months to just go travel around the world. I was very fortunate to be able to do something like this. ExxonMobil approved my leave of absence. It was unpaid time off, of course, but and honestly, my position wasn't guaranteed when I came back, but the policy was they wouldn't approve the leave of absence if they weren't intending to have you come back on. So during this time, we visited 17 countries, kind of all over the place in South America, Southeast Asia, and then our last month we spent a month in New Zealand. So I got to go back and take my husband back to where I did my study abroad. So there's a lot more to do there that we got to do. So we did that from February to December of 2013. And then when I came back in 2014, I went back to the same group supporting the Wyoming facility, but this time supporting different units. So my responsibilities were cogeneration turbines, so turbines that were making steam and power for the facility. A steam methane reformer, which actually uses steam and methane to make hydrogen. and then a nitrogen rejection unit, which from the treating the gas that comes into the plant, we remove the nitrogen so that ultimately we end up with methane. So some of these pictures are me during my turnaround. So like I mentioned, one of the major activities in an industrial setting is a turnaround. And so I got to plan and lead the execution for the turnaround, or shutdown, I should say. Turnaround's kind of industry jargon, sorry, it's in my blood. But for this shutdown, so it was a 43-day downtime that the unit was down, and we had 8 projects to do. I think they totaled about $4 million, which really wasn't a lot of money for a shutdown, really. They can be, multi-million or hundreds of millions of dollars. But it was more about the complexity and how much we were trying to squeeze into such a short period of time. And the unit I was working in is actually a very small space. So when you're trying to do a lot of things in one space, it gets difficult. So this is me inside of the reformer, which is basically a big furnace. So this is the same inside. You can see there's some burners. It was fired from the top. So there were some burners at the top we had to replace. And these are the tubes inside that carry the process fluid that you're heating up. And they can be poisoned by zinc, which is what's in steel when you galvanize it. So we had to wrap them with a special kind of insulation to keep them protected, so that when we built the scaffolding that I'm standing on, which is galvanized, it wouldn't touch the tubes and poison them. And then of course, this is all my safety gear that I had on while I was inside the furnace, just to be safe. And then this picture here is of a we called it a transfer line, but inside of it is the process fluid that comes out of the furnace at about 1400 to 1500 degrees Fahrenheit. And so what's interesting about this paint is whenever it sees high temperatures, it changes color. So it turns to white. So this was one of the projects, was to repaint this transfer line. And that's important because this paint would indicate to us if something was potentially getting close to failing, if the excess temperatures were getting to the surface. So that was a fun little painting project I had at work. So, I had been at Wyoming at this facility for a while, so my responsibilities were increasing. I was, becoming more of a mentor, got to mentor a lot of new hires and a lot of interns. I actually really enjoyed that. The people development side of a job is very fun for me. I like to see people succeed. And then another role, I guess you could say I had, was the surveillance lead role. So we were rolling out new tools online to help with remote surveillance. So if I was in Houston, or if one of our senior technical professionals anywhere in the world needed to look at the data for the plant, they could see it by logging in to these surveillance tools. So I was responsible for working with the US sites to develop what these screens needed to look like, what information needed to go on them. Are you trying to do surveillance on a heat exchanger? So you need to look at temperatures, right? And trying to see if you have fouling. So that was a neat role as well, to be able to work at different US sites. So this was the end of my Wyoming career. So that was all in ExxonMobil's upstream business, and it was an organization called US Production. So I was in the production company in the upstream, and then I got moved to the chemical business at Baytown, so just outside of Houston. And I got to get into my official project manager position. So this was something I was interested in doing and really wanted to kind of focus into strictly project management, capital projects, new projects. So I was very used to working in a facility where I was trying to fix a lot of things, always broken things. So this position was very fun because it was all about putting in shiny new things that everyone was excited about. So one of them was this $13 million flare gas compressor upgrade project. So was improving our compressors, the instrumentation to improve the reliability. And then the second one was a chlorine unit upgrade. And I say upgrade, but is really more of a redesign. We completely redesigned it to improve the operability and the safety, but also to mitigate some risks that we had there as well. So I had several other, I think I had about 5 at any given time, but those were the 2 I spent the most time on given their priority. And that's kind of a typical workload at ExxonMobil. They make sure you generally had more on your plate than you could ever get done, which certainly makes sure you never get bored. And then from there, I moved on to an engineering supervisor role. So I stayed at Baytown, but instead of just being at the chemical plant, I was over the complex, which included the chemical plants and the refinery. And the position I was put in was over the reliability and materials engineers. So we take one materials class, right, in chemi, or at least I did. I by no means am a materials expert, and I had more experience in reliability with my previous jobs, but still there was a lot to learn. So it was another kind of new experience where I was being thrown in. I had a big team. You can see 19 engineers and 10 contractors. So a lot of work being done. But it actually ended up being great because since I wasn't the technical expert of their work, I really couldn't micromanage my team. I had to learn to trust them and count on them to produce good technical quality. And so that was actually good. It allowed me to focus more on career development and some of the other sort of supervisor roles that are important to focus on. And I also had some strategic initiatives. So one I mentioned here is we had some expats from Malaysia that would come to Baytown. 2 of them typically we set up to come every year, and we would train them on what we did for our reliability work, and then they would go back to somewhere in the Asian assets and kind of go forth and prosper. So it was a lot of work to figure out what information do we need to train them on? What do they need to take back so that when they're on their own, that they can be successful. So that was a really neat opportunity. And so while I was at Baytown, moving from upstream to chemicals and then kind of downstream as a whole, I kind of had to start all over. At ExxonMobil, upstream and downstream are very segregated businesses. The organizations don't have a lot of overlap. They're moving more towards that, but at the time there wasn't. And so I really had to kind of make sure I got out and met more people and sort of rebuilt my network at work. So I got pretty involved in what they had there, which they called the Women's Interest Network, so the WIN Network, and eventually became a co-chair of one of the committees. But, I encourage you, any of the companies that you guys will be looking at will probably continue to have these types of organizations that you can get involved in, where you can really kind of continue that network building. And so I encourage you to look into that whenever you're looking at the companies that you're considering working for. Another program I was involved in a lot was called Steamtown USA, and it was an after-school program for 3rd grade girls that we would go do once a month. We'd go teach them some sort of unit, typically STEM related, but they threw in the A, so there was some arts added in. So you had a bunch of engineers trying to draw some things. We had a good time with it. The kids did a better job at that than we did. And then with SWE, ExxonMobil doesn't really have their own chapter. There's a Houston chapter, but they have their own focus group because ExxonMobil is very involved in the SWE National Conference. They send a lot of people for the speakers and for different kind of exhibits and booths. And then, of course, they prioritize the recruiting event. So I got involved in the ExxonMobil side of SWE and started going to the national conferences, which was great. Again, another, they're all of these different organizations are great. You really can't go wrong picking which one to get involved in. It's just a matter of making sure you get involved in one and continue to do that. I was disappointed it took me so long to kind of get back into the swing of things with SWE, but I was happy once I did. They offer really a lot of great professional development opportunities after you've been working for a while. And so then at the end, or I guess I'd say about middle of 2018, my husband and I had sort of decided we wanted to move back to Austin. We had been in Houston for 10 years and enjoyed it, but had always kind of felt temporary. We never kind of felt like it was the place we were going to end up. And he's an electrical engineer, also went to UT, and he's really focused in the tech industry. And so for him, Austin is a really great place for his career. And so we decided we were both going to leave our jobs and move to Austin and see what we could find. And so, of course, since we were leaving our jobs, we had to take another opportunity to travel one more time. And this time we went for 12 months. We really wanted to hit that full year mark. And we went to a lot more countries this time, which sounds like a lot, but Eastern Europe has a lot of little countries that are close together. So it's actually not as hard to hit this many countries as you might think. But again, another great experience, and both of my years of travels, I'm very, very happy I got. And they've really just, I think no matter how much travel you do or where you go, it's just a great opportunity to learn other cultures and to learn from other people and really understand where other people live and where they're coming from. And so it's just the people I met while traveling were just, fantastic. And I'm very fortunate I got that experience and, can bring that back into my work life with me. So we were also very lucky to get this done in 2019 because 2020 is nuts. And so we got back in January of 2020, just in time before everything got a little crazy, and moved to Austin and kind of got set up and started the job hunt in the middle of all of this mess. And luckily I got a job back at UT, which I don't know about you guys, how much you know about the utilities and energy side of UT, but I didn't know a lot when I was at school. And so coming back, it's really interesting to see how a lot of the hidden work that goes on behind the scenes that as a student, you don't really notice. But so I'm in the utilities and energy management department. And so on campus, and I'll show you a map on my last slide here, there is a power plant in the middle of campus. And in addition to that, we have several chilling stations and, electrical switchgear all over the place. So we provide those utility services to all of the buildings on campus. So generally, as long as everything's going well and the lights are on, everyone's happy. But as soon as we lose power or there's no air conditioning in the middle of July, it's very busy and we're trying to figure out what's going on. So there's a lot of operators, a lot of technicians, and maintenance technicians, instrument technicians, electricians that are part of the team. But my role is a project manager. So I'm kind of back into my project manager position, which I was very looking forward to do. And you guys probably see a lot of the construction on campus in terms of all the capital projects that are going on. So GLT, one of the new engineering buildings, is underway. The South End Zone is being built. There's a lot of renovations going on to existing buildings. So my job on those projects is to represent our utilities and energy management department and make sure that when those new buildings are being built, they're installing equipment that tie into our systems and meet our specs for our stuff. So that we can reliably provide them whatever service they need. So those are really neat projects to be a part of, to see these massive projects getting done and slowly taking shape as they start getting built. And then kind of my other primary responsibility at UEM is projects for the plant. And not just the plant, but also kind of on campus with the utilities. So one that I'm working on right now is extending a duct bank underneath Kamal Street, which I don't know if you're familiar with the east side of campus. It's kind of over there by the baseball fields. And so the duct bank is what we're going to build under the road. And essentially a duct bank just has some PVC pipe in it that lets you pull electrical cables through it. So it's just a safe way to run your cabling for electricity or for telecom type of services. So that one I'm working on right now. And then another one that's completely different, it's more engineering side, is working on developing specifications so that, and these are just documents that describe exactly how something needs to be built for our equipment, so that I can hand that to a contractor or to these big projects and say, this is what you need to do, so that we have it documented, because for the last however many years, we've just been kind of telling them what we need, and it causes a lot of inefficiency. So I'm working on a project to kind of write all that down so that it's more helpful to the contractors. And I think I mentioned to you guys, yeah, so I started in July. Let's see, it's already December. I can't believe it. So I've been here a few months, but I'm very happy to be back. Can't wait till I can be on campus again, walking around. Maybe I'll see you guys out there. This is the map I was mentioning. So the power plant I was talking about is right here in blue. And if this is 24th Street and Speedway right here. So you don't really notice it, I think, until you're looking for it. You'll see the big tall stack that's sticking out. And then the chilling stations are these red circles. So there's 5 of them kind of scattered throughout campus. And then we have 2 chilled water thermal storage tanks where we store the water that we chill. We make it overnight because that's more efficient. It's colder in the evenings, and we store it in these tanks, and then we use it from the tanks during the day. And then, of course, there's other equipment out for electrical, for the power, for elevators, for plumbing, all sorts of. I think it's 9 miles of underground tunnels underneath campus as well, which I don't know if you guys have heard that. And in these tunnels, there's about 70 miles of piping in the tunnels that run water and the sanitary lines, all sorts of stuff, the chilled water and the steam. So it's pretty neat underground world under campus that you may not even know is there. So that's kind of all I had. That's my career in my last 12 years in a nutshell. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah, cool. Go ahead. Jude, you're the first one I saw.
Okay.
Sky.
I was curious because you talked a lot about being project manager, and I was wondering if projects were assigned to you, or you kind of were responsible for finding projects yourself, or kind of having freedom to do something that you saw there was a need for a project.
Sure. So yeah, a lot of times, especially early on, you kind of have your work list and you're assigned certain projects. A lot of projects were discovered through like a hazard analysis study. In this type of industry, you have to do a hazard analysis study every 5 years on every unit. And so that type of study would generate a lot of projects that we realize, okay, this hazard we need to go mitigate because the code has changed or the standards have changed. We need to go and meet this change. But it was always expected of everyone to be looking for opportunities. So the law, and I really enjoyed being in Wyoming for so many years because I got to know the plant so well. And I understood how the units operated. It became so much easier than when I first started to be able to look at some surveillance data and say, yeah, we're having an issue with this exchanger. We're being limited on capacity. We need to do something if we want to meet this new flow rate we're talking about and increase production. So it was always expected that we're looking for those opportunities, and yeah, you would bring them forward and talk to the team about it and figure out, what kind of benefit does it bring, and then prioritize that with the other projects that you already had on your list. So it was always kind of a balancing act of prioritization and communication with your supervisor and then the rest of the operating facility so that, we were all on the same page with what projects that they wanted me working on. What else?
I have a question. I think it's really cool that you got to travel for 2 full years while you were working. So I'm curious what your favorite country was that you visited, and like what's the biggest thing you took away from those 2 years of travel?
Sure. Yeah, the favorite country thing is way too hard. Everyone always asks me that, and it's impossible. Like, until now, it's not. It's kind of a cop out. So one of the last places we went to this last trip was Antarctica. And while there's no people there, it was very beautiful. And I loved that adventure. But I think for me, some of my favorite parts of the world so far have been Central Asia. I've really enjoyed being able to do homestays there and stay with the locals, and they're just very welcoming, and it was just really fantastic experiences there. But it's really hard to say. Asia's amazing. I mean, they're all amazing. You can't go wrong. So yeah. And they're different, every country kind of has different things to it. Some places are more focused, you get more out of it culturally, and then some places are more kind of outdoor hiking and scenery. So it really just depends on what you want to do. But sort of the biggest impact for me was you really do learn how to not sweat the small stuff when you're doing something like that, things go wrong, and they're gonna go wrong. You're gonna miss a bus, and you're gonna, lose this thing, and you left this at this hostel. I mean, things are gonna go wrong all the time. And I think for me, it really helped me kind of slow down. And my natural tendency is to be a perfectionist, and so it really just kind of helped me kind of chill out a little bit and not feel like I have to have full control over everything, and really just kind of enjoy being in the moment, and, remember what was important, and that, not everything doesn't have to go perfect. And that's so relatable to work. I mean, there are projects I worked on where I was definitely too overbearing. I can look back on, and, was trying to force things to be too perfect. People have different work styles too, that it doesn't always gel with another type of personality. And I actually have a really good friend that came out of it, but there's someone that I definitely butted heads with on one of my projects for a long time. And at the end of it, we're great friends now, but we look back and we laugh about it, and we tease each other. But yeah, I mean, you just have to really understand where other people come from, and realize that not everyone has the same experience you have, and they haven't gotten to the same place you have, and we're all different, and really trying to be open to that diversity, and be willing to be adaptable to other people. And that's another great thing you learn while traveling. You get to meet a lot of people and hear about their experiences and their background. So I think that, the biggest reason I travel is to meet other people, is to learn about new cultures and get new experiences from other people. That's what keeps me going. So I highly recommend it. One day again, we'll be out there. I'm sure of it. What else?
Oh, I have a question more about UT. I was very intrigued by what you brought up about the underground tunnel. Have you ever been down in them?
I have not, so I since I started in July, I haven't really been on campus much. I will be allowed to go in, they've told me, and the team is really funny. A lot of them have been working at UT for 20, 30 years, so they've been around for a while. And they kind of joke about how going down there isn't super pleasant, because it's kind of just a long tunnel, and it's pretty warm because you have steam pipes down there, and they give off a lot of heat. So they said even in the dead of winter, like 2 nights ago, you can go down there and it's pretty warm. So I haven't been down there yet. I've seen pictures. I should have put a picture on here for you guys because it is interesting, but it is just kind of like imagine a long hallway just underground with pipes running all along the side of it. So at all levels. So they have lighting in there. It's not completely dark, but it's also not, there's no natural light down there. So it's not bright and sunny either. So yeah, I think every now and then they may let people do tours, public tours, but I'm not sure. I've seen a video of what looked like people touring it, but I never heard about it. And I never, as a student, I never got the chance to go down there. So don't try either because they do monitor it. They've said people have tried to sneak down there, but there are sensors that let them know someone's gone in. So if you see one open, don't go in. But yeah, it's pretty neat. There's a lot of facilities around, kind of behind the scenes of these buildings. It's pretty cool to see what this team has done. UT is known around the US in sort of the major campus environments as being the most efficient power plant energy facility in all universities. And they have a really great director, my boss of the whole department, and his focus has really been on efficiency. So they are now making the same amount of energy, same amount of power for the same amount of fuel that they did back in the 70s. So they've gotten so efficient to produce so much more power and chilled water for so many more buildings. I mean, you can see how big the map is here, and think about what it used to be when it was the 40 acres, right? So the campus has grown so much and they've done a lot to become more and more efficient so that we don't have to build an entirely new facility. That's the goal. As you guys know, we're still expanding it. Just a year or two ago, they opened up the medical center and, they're still going. So there's more that they want to do, more buildings and more departments they want to bring to UT. So that requires more space.
Awesome, Jordan. Thank you so much.
Sure.
We learned a lot. If we can all take a quick picture right now.
Yeah.
Great, just to
surprise.
If you can unshare your screen.
Yes. Sorry, I can see all of you guys really big, and I forgot you probably can't. You can't see what I see. Too funny.
Typically we do a hook 'em, so if that's what you want to do, or anything that works. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, got it.
Cool. Well, you guys, I really enjoyed speaking to you, and I'm always happy to answer any other questions. Shruti, I think you have my email. Where did you go? There you are. And so share it, feel free to share it. And my contact information is in my signature block on my email as well. So definitely share it with the rest of the group. And anytime you guys have questions or, need some advice or on anything, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll make sure to share your contact info with our members and they'll contact you. And feel free to stick around if you have the time. We just go through some updates and things like that. So,
yep, I'll stick around.
Okay. So we have some updates. We'll kind of go through them really quickly so we can all have dinner at like 7. So in terms of upcoming events, all our events next semester will be virtual as well. So please stay involved virtually. And for spring of 2021, we are starting committees. Kailyns, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we wanted to make space and more opportunity for all of our members who want to be able to contribute more and have a more of a say in what we do in UCHU, and we really want that for y'all. As y'all know, we've been going along with our EcoBrick committee for, I think it's been a year now. I forget when we exactly started, but that was started up by Julia, and we're going to start a new events committee and a publicity committee. And so there'll be opportunities to help determine like what kind of socials we do, other kinds of events, any other great ideas you have. You can bring them to the table. It'll be not a huge commitment. It's really just however much you can participate. Once we have those meeting times available, we'll share them with everyone who might be interested. And so if you're interested in that, all you need to do is join those Slack channels, the hashtag events-committee or hashtag PR-committee, and you'll be in the loop from there.
Awesome.
We can go on, and we have our new officers. So we wanted to have a moment to introduce all of our new officers. And so we'll start with, if each of y'all want to say a little something about yourself, that would be great, starting with Anna. I don't mean to put anyone on the spot, but Anna is our new first year rep.
Hi, I'm Anna. I like to crochet. I'm a first year. I haven't really been on campus at all, but I'm excited to like be online with everyone. This is exciting.
We're so happy to have you here. And then we have our new outreach chair, Diana.
Hi, everybody. I'm happy to be here. I'm a third year student, and I also like to crochet. I have like a blanket I'm making right here.
I'm gonna have to make a crocheting Slack channel so y'all can share tips. And then we have Anjali, our new events chair.
Hi, I'm a sophomore in chemie. I cannot crochet or embroider at all, but my roommate's really good at it, and she made the sweatshirt for me. So I just have her make stuff for me.
There's so
and
many.
we also have Becky, our new sustainability chair.
Hi guys, I'm Becky. I'm a second year chemie. Yeah, I can't do any of those things either, but I guess the fun fact for me, something that I do in my pastime is play piano. So that's like something I spend my time on. But yeah, I'm excited also for like the EcoBrick project to continue working on that as well. So yeah.
Awesome. Huge welcome to our new officers. Thank you so much. And even if you're not an officer, please just stay involved and there will be more opportunities along the way. All right, we would also love to feature you on our social media, so please fill out this form to be a member spotlight on our Instagram. EcoBrick updates.
Yeah, so we're going to continue the EcoBrick project next semester with Becky as sustainability chair. So if you want to join the committee, definitely fill out the form, and we probably won't start up like fully again until next semester. We're kind of winding down now. And then if you want to check out our YouTube channel, it's just the YouTube channel. We have a couple of really cool videos on there. And there's going to be some more to come before the end of the semester, which I'm really excited about.
Join the EcoBrick Slack to stay involved. Podcast updates.
We are releasing Kailyns Podcast this Friday, so we did not get to do that before Thanksgiving break. Things got a little busy, but it's very interesting, so stay tuned.
And this is Kailyns Spotify wrap for this year, and look at Candid Chemical Engineering in 4th place. We hope it'll be up there for everyone next year, if not this year. Awesome. And Sustainability Minute.
Yeah, so for December, since I know people are getting a lot of gifts, I decided to put together a little sustainable gift guide. So these are some different things that I have personally, or companies that I bought stuff from that I think are really cool. And it's cool to support businesses that are trying to be more sustainable. So like shampoo bars, and you can get like a sample pack, which is really cool. So you can test out different ones or give that to somebody. And that's a great way to like get people that around you to be more sustainable, because I do that all the time. And now my friends and family are making little changes. Necklaces from Golden, you can personalize them a lot. So they're really cool. And they have like a bunch of different price ranges. And then girlfriend leggings. I know Libby and I both have girlfriend leggings and they're amazing. So would highly recommend. And then Cotopaxi, they have a lot of like very colorful clothing items. So if you know somebody that really likes bright colors, that's a good place to look.
Awesome. Thanks, Julia. And also, please follow our social media to stay connected with what we're up to, especially in this virtual world. It's so important to stay connected that way. So, yeah. All right. We have a few slides on safety. Kaylyn, are we thinking of doing them right now, or do we want to just send out the slides?
No, we can just gloss over it and mention what it covers, because every year officers within clubs are supposed to go to a workshop and get a training on safety education, which we share with y'all. And so we'll email out this slideshow to y'all so you can read it in detail for a little more information. But if you just want to talk about what is covered, Isabella.
Okay. Are you going to talk? Because there's like notes that I can't see.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it just has information on interpersonal violence and the peer support, the resources that go along with that, and then a lot about health and safety, especially with the pandemic, which I think everybody should read through this because it is all super important to know. Do you want to? I'm sure we all remember all of the specific basic safety, like maintaining your distance from others, wearing a mask, washing your hands, not touching your face, and then like being aware of your symptoms and how you're doing. Do we want to go on? Okay. Wait, I don't have this up, so I can't see the notes either, Isabella.
Okay, well, there's just a lot of, like, we went through an hour-long training of a lot of resources and a lot of facts. But just think one of the most pressing things that they covered was COVID and, you know, the importance of being socially distant, especially with Christmas coming up and things like that. Just try to be safe and keep everyone around you safe. And there's like a 40 slide presentation that we will send out. And we can also cover it in detail, or if you have any questions, just like ask us and we will.
Yeah. But you can read up on risk management, substance abuse and use. There's a new department on campus called SHIFT, which is centered around substance use and misuse. And they provide a lot of good resources. The other thing, Julia brought this up in the chat, but the proactive community testing, that is super important. I went 3 times before going home for Thanksgiving. And you should definitely, if you're in Austin or on campus, go get tested before the holiday break. And yeah, just know that if you go to any gatherings or groups of any kind and you want to get tested after that, go within the 5 to 14 day window after whatever incident or potential exposure, then that is like the safe time to get tested and know. And yeah, we've got this checklist you can read over here, but we'll send the rest of this information out to y'all so you can read it.
Definitely. Okay, we'll have a little bit of a social on Scribble.io. So just to let y'all know, it's like 30 seconds draw time when usually it's like 80. So it's gonna be a little competitive, and I'm awful at this. So we'll see how this goes. If you want to drop out, that's totally fine. If you want to just have some time, have some fun for some time, please join us. I will send the link right now.
Bye, Rania. Oh, and Jordan, if you want to stay and hang out with us, you totally can. Otherwise, if you have things to go on and do.
I've got to see what this is going to be.
Yeah,
I'm interested.
It's kind of like, is it like Pictionary? I think that's what it's like.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Cool. Well, since we're going to our social, I'm going to stop recording this meeting.